Hello guys, welcome back. This is Deepika from Mytutorialrack.com. In this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and take a look at this Explorer tab, and we will talk about the step element in detail. So the Explorer tab, whenever the flow gets larger, whenever it becomes to grow in size, and we wanted to see what are the elements we have used or what are the resources we have used, then Explorer tab is the one-stop shop to search for any element that you have used in the flow. So you can even search for any fields or the variables that you have created during the course of the flow. Then this is like a one stop for everything, to look for any element that you have used or any resource that you have used. So if you wanted to search for any screen, then you can just type in the search box, and whatever the search matches your criteria, all those elements will appear here. In the palette tab, going back to the palette tab, let's look at the first element, which is the step. The step element is whenever you are not sure of the requirements, whenever you are not sure that what type of the element it will be, what type of the fields will this element will have, then you can go ahead and just start creating your flow with the help of these step element. Now, the point to remember here that a step element cannot be available in a active flow. Means whenever if you're trying to create or activate your flow, there should not be any step element available in that flow. Otherwise, you will not be able to activate your flow. Once you have got the requirements, once everything is placed, then you can anytime convert your step element into the screen element, and this is the only element which you can convert it to screen once the requirements are set up and you know what you're doing. When you're not sure of things, when the requirements are not in place, then you can draft your flow with the help of these step elements, and later on you can convert those into a screen element. An important point to remember here is that the setup element can be converted into the screen element, and in order to activate your flow, there should not be any step element available in the flow. Whenever you drag and drop the step element to the canvas, this is the pop-up message you see. So here you're going to specify the name and the unique name and the description for this. The name and the unique name are the required fields. So here if you type in, let's say the name of this step is introduction step, and then when you tab out, automatically the unique name will set up, and then you can here write the description of the step element saying that, hey, this will be where the introduction screen goes once we get the requirements for the text, any fields and formatting. So for right now, you can specify that, hey, there is going to be some element here. I don't know what elements, what fields that element will have, but this is what my step element is, and I can always convert into a screen. So you can see here there is this bi-directional arrow. So once you click on this particular arrow, it will get converted into the screen. So now it got converted into the screen here. Before it was a step. So if you go ahead and convert here, you provide all this information and hit the OK button. Now that particular step got converted into screen. The next we have is this screen element. Now the screen element is the bread and the butter of a typical flow. Means if you want to create a screen, now what is the purpose of the screen? You can display some information to the user, you can ask for the information from the user, and this particular screen element, you have to provide the name. You have three different tabs here. One is the general info about the screen. If you wanted to add some data to the screen, you wanted to, let's say, add a text field or a text box for the user to enter his name, his age, etc., then you can use this add a field here. And the field settings, basically if you wanted to go ahead, let's say you added a particular text box here, and let's say you wanted to ask for his first name, so you're going to go ahead and the label would be, let's say the label would be enter first name, and then if it's a required field or not a required field, you can specify it here. If it is a required field, you cannot proceed to the next screen until you provide the value for that particular field here. If you want to provide a default value, let's say if the user has not typed in and you wanted to say enter name, so this is, you can here provide like a default value for this, and then he has a help desk you wanted to give information that what this field is all about, then you can use this help text as well. Now here, this is where you're going to provide the name of your screen. So let's say you can say personal info screen. And then you have what are the buttons. So if you wanted to, let's say if there are more than one screen in this flow, then what will be the button that you wanted to display on the screen, then you can see here. And if you want to specify that, hey, I don't want to use a previous button, or I don't want to use a finish button, then you can mention those as well here. So right now I have displayed one text box. Let's say you wanted to display, you want to ask the user for his last name as well. So you can here specify this another label here specifying enter your last name. And then this particular label, this is not a required field, so we won't click on this checkbox. So these are the two fields that this user has to provide whenever the flow runs. Okay, so these are the two informations that we are asking from the user. If you wanted to just ask for his age, let's say you wanted to ask what's his age, so you can specify here, and this will be a number field. And if you wanted to make it a required field, you can go ahead and provide here. If you want to validate it, you can provide your validation. If you wanted to enter a default value, you can do that. If you want, let's say you wanted to ask his salary, so here you can use this field and you can say enter salary. So here this will be in a currency format, and you wanted to make it required, you can do that. And if you wanted to go ahead and provide a default value, all these things. So whenever, let's say you went ahead and click OK here, and this is the screen that you just added, and let me go ahead and delete the rest of the elements here, and this is the only screen that we have it in the flow. So now if you run it, when you run this particular, you have to first save it, and let's say we run it. Now here, when you run this particular screen, you see all this text information, which will basically it will ask the user to type in their first name, the last name, the age, and the salary. And if you went ahead and proceeded without entering this required data, it's going to give you an error. So here, let's say you provided your first name, you provided your last name, you provided the age, and let's say the salary you did not provide. So now when you don't provide the salary and it is considered as a required field, then you're going to get a message. And then let's say you provided the salary as well, then it will go ahead and will proceed. So this is whatever the information that you have required, it will be required in order to proceed to the next element of the flow. So this is what the screen element looks like. Then here under the add a field category, you have different type of thing that you can pick, long text area as well. So if you wanted to go ahead and have a multi-line field to allow the input of general text, so let's say if you have large text to display, then you can use this particular field here, and then you can specify the name for the field, the label that you want to use. So let's say enter your resume. So if you wanted to have a large text here, then you can provide this. Now the next we have is the password. If you wanted the user to enter a password, then you can go ahead and ask the user to enter the password here. The checkbox, then these are the choices, radio buttons or the drop down list, the date. So password is, this is going to be a single line field to allow the input of a text as a password. The text enter is masked so that it cannot be seen while typing. So whenever you pass this password, and it will not be seen to the user, it will be masked. Then you have is the checkbox. Now this particular checkbox is a standard checkbox field that can be checked or unchecked. Then you have is the radio buttons. Now this particular field allows the user to input one value from a list of several predetermined values displayed as radio buttons. So if let's say a female, here you can specify, and then the user can choose one of those values here. Then you have is the, let's say if you want to delete a particular field, you can just click on this delete icon next to the field, and then that particular field will be removed. Then we have, let's say, a drop down list. This is a field that allows a user to input one value from a list of several predetermined values displayed as a pick list. So here you can, under the drop down list, you can specify all the different values. Let's say here, let's say I have a type of account, okay, and here and then you wanted to go ahead and add a particular choice here, so you can create a new choice, and you can say here personal savings account, and the stored value would be personal savings. Click OK. So now in the drop down, and similarly, let's say I wanted to create a new choice here, and let's say this is going to be money market account, and then you can go ahead and click OK. So this is what the type of the account, let's say what type of account the user wants to create. So when you go ahead and run this, if you look at that drop down, you're going to see two different values here, personal savings and money market. So you have added two different choices here for the user to pick up. So user can either select the money market account he wants to create, or does he wants to create personal savings account. So this is what this drop down list will be used for. Similarly, if you have a multi-select, in the drop down list, the user can only pick one element. You cannot select more than one element. Whereas in the multi-select pick list, a user can select multiple items and can move to the right hand side. So what type of items do you want it to create? So let's say you're asking the user, select your favorite subjects. Okay, and this is the you're asking, and what in the options you can provide as many choices. So here if you go ahead and click, let's say you have 4 choices, and here you went ahead and created your first choice here. So let's say my first choice is maths, and then the value is going to be maths. Click OK. So this is going to be one option. Then the next one you have, let's say English. There is no choice, so you have to create one. So we are going to go ahead and create here. So let's say the next choice the user can select is English, and then the stored value would be this. Click OK. Then let's say we have computers. So this is also not available choice, so let's create one. Click OK. Let's say you have another choice here, create new choice, and then let's say you have your favorite is drawing. Click OK. And click OK. When you run this particular flow, now the next you will see here, this is your favorite subject, and you can pick some. So if you can say, you can pick multiple. So let's say you wanted to pick maths and English, then you can move it to the right hand side. If let's say computer programming is your favorite, then move this to the right hand side. So you can multi-select elements. So that is what this multi-select pick list is. It is a set of fields that allows a user to select multiple values from a list of several predetermined values as a multi-select pick list. So these are the predetermined values that you have, and from here you can select multiple values and you can pick up, hey, which is your favorite subject. So you can pick up what are all your favorite subjects is. Then the display text, if you go ahead and edit it, there's another field that you can create on the screen, and that can be considered as a display text. Basically it is displaying some information on the screen. So let's say you wanted to display a particular text here, so you wanted to say enter below details, and here whatever you want the user to enter, whatever the text you wanted to show, you can display here. So here once you click OK, you will see that this text appears here. So then go ahead and click OK. Once you hit the save button, and then when you run this particular flow, you will see this text here saying enter details here. So that is what the display text field is. So it's an output field that is used to present a combination of text and merge fields to the user as a formatted text. So these are the different add a field options that you have on the screen, the different types of elements that you can add to your screen here.